Well, Melbourne is this morning slowly easing out of lockdown after Daniel Andrews announced some restrictions were being relaxed. But for Federal Treasurer Josh Frydenberg, it's simply not fast enough. And the Treasurer joins me now from Canberra. Treasurer, very good morning to you. Why are you so unhappy this morning?
Well, obviously we welcome some of the easing of the restrictions, but they don't go far enough. There's been a callous indifference in Victoria from the government to the loss of jobs and to the plight of small business. Just look at the statements yesterday, Ali, from the Australian Hotels Association, from the Council of Small Business, from the Australian Industry Group, from the Business Council of Australia. They have said that yesterday's announcement was inexplicable and unacceptable. In their words, businesses are losing hope and that there was a lack of consultation. You see, in New South Wales, where they dealt with much more cases than we see in Victoria today, the cafes, the restaurants, the pubs, the clubs were all open. People could get about their daily lives. It's fine to lift the travel restrictions to 25 kilometres, but if the businesses aren't open, people haven't got anywhere to go.
But Treasurer, at least they've got a date now, November 1.
But why isn't it today? Why isn't Victoria following the course set by New South Wales, who have set the gold standard with respect to contact testing and tracing, and with respect to getting about allowing people to go back to work? You see, Ali, the numbers tell a very tragic story of what's happened in Victoria. There's more than 500,000 Victorians who are effectively unemployed. The effective unemployment rate in Victoria today is 14%. It's just 7.5% in New South Wales. More than 1,000 Victorians have lost their job every day of this lockdown on average. Now, that is unacceptable, given that there has been the success and the progress in bringing down the number of daily cases.
Do you think it would be easy, though, if you tried to work with Daniel Andrews as opposed to coming out and attacking him?
Well, it's about supporting Victorians. It's the Victorian businesses and Victorian workers who need that support. It's not about Daniel Andrews. It's actually about delivering for Victorians. That's why the Morrison government has provided already $31 billion to Victorian families and businesses. And that is why an expected 60% of Australians who are on JobKeeper in the December and March quarters are expected to come from Victoria.
What will yesterday's decision mean for your budget forecasts?
Well, again, we'll update our forecasts at the end of the year, but clearly the quicker people can get back to work in Victoria, the better.
OK, now the New Zealand travel bubble, Victoria and WA both said that they were blindsided when Kiwis arrived in their state. They're not part of this arrangement. How has it been so poorly managed?
Well, again, you know, the facts tell a very different story for the Victorian government here. Their own chief medical officer was present at the meetings where this was discussed, and apparently no concerns were raised. And as you know, the states are controlling the people who move in between their borders. We control the international borders, and that's the way it's been. If you wanted to go to Western Australia, you'd need a certificate. Daniel Andrews didn't put that in place in Victoria, and now, you know, he obviously has to answer the question why.
But, I mean, you've now got two states that are upset with you. What it goes to show is that you're not all working together on this one, and that you haven't brought them along. How is it that they didn't know that this was happening? Because WA says they didn't either.
Well, again, there was a documented meeting of the health medical officers, and again, those issues weren't raised by Victoria or the other jurisdictions.
AFL Grand Final, two big, very proud Victorian teams, but of course it's not going to be in Melbourne. A massive blow to the economy. Yeah,
I mean, again, this is the consequence of, you know, the failures in hotel quarantine. It's, you know, very sad to see the game be lost to the MCG, where it's always been. But again, Victorians will cheer on their teams. Unfortunately, my team's not in the grand final, but Melbourne Storm is. So best of luck to Melbourne Storm. Great to see the Melbourne Vixens win, and you know, all the best to Victorian teams this weekend.
I mean, there's two arguments here that Dan Andrews could have used it as a reward for everyone doing such a good job during lockdown. The other, of course, that it's too dangerous to loosen the reins over such a big weekend. So who are you barracking for?
Well, I'm going for both teams to have a good game. My team's Carlton. I can't choose another club. I've got one club.
Yes, you can.
I've got one
Alex
club.
does all the time. He changes his team. You should do.
I'm a loyal Carlton supporter, a Melbourne Storm supporter. I'll stick with that.
Pick and stick. All right. That's a message in there for Alex, I reckon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Treasurer.
Thank you.